thanks for tuning in once again to the Film Forum. We're live down here on 14th Street at People TV. We got a great show for you tonight. I'm Steve Markos. With me is my buddy Aron Siegel, and we're going to review movies again, aren't we?
This is our last week of catch-up, Steve, so we're going to be doing, I believe, 4 or 5 films, as many as time allows tonight.
Oh, that's great. So we got at least 4 or 5, and then we're going to have our top 10 of films that came out this
Metro
week.
Atlanta Top 10.
Metro Atlanta Top 10, our video releases. And then next week we'll get back to normal. But right now, like I said, movies, and we're going to start off with what, Aron?
My Father the Hero. Tell
us about it.
I'll tell you about it, Steve. My Father the Hero stars Gerard Depardieu. He plays Andre, who's a divorced parent who's determined to take his daughter, played by Katherine Heigl, whose name is Nicole, down to an exotic resort for a tropical resort for a vacation. Problem is that Nicole falls in love with a boy down there, and she wants to impress him, so she tells everyone, especially the boy, that she's down at this resort with her lover, who's 3 times her age. Anyway, what we've got here now is a scene from My Father the Hero with Gerard Depardieu and Katherine Heigl.
Daddy, can I talk to you about something?
Of course you can talk to me about anything.
Anything?
Anything at all. What is it? Tell me.
Promise not to yell.
I promise. Now tell me.
It's really not that bad.
Tell me.
You said you wouldn't yell.
That was not yelling, trust me.
I told Ben you weren't my father.
Why?
Because I wanted to impress him.
What did you tell him I was? A famous pianist? A writer? What?
I told him you were my lover.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Are you out of your mind? What the hell were you thinking about?
You're yelling.
Of course I'm yelling. My daughter tells some stranger that the father is her
lover!
Oh, God.
Okay, that's a scene from My Father the Hero, which opens this Friday. It's directed by Steve Miner, and it stars Gerard Depardieu, Katherine Heigl.
This is I thought this was a hilarious film, and it's one of the few comedies that relies on the situations to be funny. It doesn't rely on jokes and the funny lines and whoever the comedian happens to be who stars in the film. In fact, there are no comedians in the film. We have Gerard Depardieu, who is hilarious.
The script is incredible. It's lighthearted. It reminds me of some of the old Disney films. The situations are great. I think the film should have been titled My Daughter the Nightmare.
Yeah, well, like I said, Gerard Depardieu is funny in this film because he plays the overprotective, naive father of a 14-year-old daughter to perfection. No one in this movie cracks jokes. It's the situations that are funny, and on top of that, you just got to fall in love with this guy. He is so charming.
He's doing everything to please his daughter.
His daughter is charming. The guy she falls in love with is a charming person. Every character in this movie is likable, and for once, I enjoyed not having a villain in a film for once and just enjoying the characters.
The villain was the rumors that were all going around.
Yeah, there's really no sleazeball in this film to ruin the lightheartedness of the film. It's just a good character movie.
This is a warm-hearted film. I was laughing almost through every scene, and it's a situation that every father that has a daughter is going to end up going through, where the daughter fabricates all of these different lies just to impress a boyfriend or somebody that she's in love with.
And it's not just people with daughters. If you've been a daughter, if you've grown up with a sister, you can all relate to this humor that pokes fun at the finicky, immature actions of these teenage girls. They're pouting and they're lying and trying to get boyfriends and stuff. But it reminded me of a film that no one liked but me, a Tony Danza film called She's Out of Control. Did you ever see that?
I remember.
I thought that was a funny movie. And like this, Tony Danza played a character who didn't know what to do with his daughter. And again, it was the situations that
This
were
film
funny.
is far superior, though.
Oh, it's a lot better, but it did remind me of that.
I have to say that this is a family film, too. It's from Touchstone Pictures. And it's definitely one of the better films of the year so far.
Well, there haven't been too many to come off. But one thing, again, a lot of the humor comes from the mistaken identity as well, not just the situations of the girl growing up, but, you know, everyone thinks he's a pervert. He doesn't know these rumors are around, and everyone's looking at him, and they think he's a dirty old man. And to tell you the truth, that girl, she was played by a 14-year-old, and she was good looking. I felt like a dirty old man myself there for a while.
Okay, how many stars are you going to give this film, Steve?
I'm going to go with 4 stars. A good family film.
Me too.
Good by yourself.
4 stars.
good for families that have teenage girls. The girls
This
will
is
fall
even a
in
good
love.
date movie.
Yeah, the girls will fall in love with the newcomer Dalton. What's his name? Dalton James, I believe is his name. And all
Yeah,
the
Dalton
teenage
James.
boys will probably fall in love with this Katherine Heigl, very pretty girl. So it's just a good situational, characterized movie that people will really love.
I agree 100%, Steve.
All right, so 4 stars, check it out, coming out this Friday. We'll get on with our second film. All right, our second film is called Car 54, Where Are You? And it came out last Friday. Now, Car 54, Where Are You? is based on the 1960s television series about police officers Gunther Tootie and Francis Muldoon and their comic exploits on the job at the 53rd Precinct in New York City. Now, this time around, they're assigned to hire a mob informant from the local mob boss who vows to kill him before he can testify in court. If that sounds familiar, well, think of Lethal Weapon. Anyway, let's get on and take a look at Car 54, Where Are You? When Francis Muldoon, the new police officer who is trying to run things by the book, is trying to bring the precinct up to modern-day technology with some newfangled chairs, and the other officers seem to have a problem with them.
Good morning. I know what you're all thinking. Thank you, Officer Muldoon, for this. It's not me, it's taxpayers. So why don't we all just take a seat? In our new seats. As I'm sure you can see, that's the seat from the old days. Now, let's direct your attention to the new Mad Cop. Now, can anyone tell me about the toxics in Mad Cop? What its function is?
All right, that's a scene from Car 54, Where Are You?, which came out last Friday. I haven't seen the TV series, and you tell me you have. How does it compare?
I miss Fred Gwynn. Fred Gwynn played Francis Muldoon in the TV series, and I miss him. But other than that, I think David Johansen plays an excellent Gunther Tootie. It's almost exactly like the original character. I think the situations are very similar to the television series, and I think that this is a kind of film that really duplicates the television series pretty closely.
Well, when I went to see it, I told my mom I'm going to see this film, and she said, I hope for your sake that it's better than the TV show. I said, what do you mean? She says the TV show was kind of idiotic, and she didn't like it. And I said, was this a very popular show? And she says, nothing out of the ordinary. I said, well, yeah, they made a movie out of it. Well, how come? She said, well, they're so desperate for material these days, they'll make a movie about just about anything, which isn't too far from the truth. Again, I haven't seen the show, so I don't know how to compare it, but to me, this is more of a toned-down version of Police Academy films. And when I mean toned down, it didn't have the crude slob humor, the sex jokes, etc. It was more like comedy you would see on TV. In fact, the film reminded me of just an hour-and-a-half situation comedy, is what it reminded me, something I would see on TV.
Yeah, I have to say that, but because it was adapted from a television show. So, it's,
and I don't know if movies like this are really supposed to be good, to tell you the truth.
Well, they're not supposed to be bad.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just supposed to be attempts at trying to get the movie-going public out to see a film.
Yeah, it seems to me, they're there to come to the theater, make as much money as they can, go to video, make as much money as they can, because, to tell you the truth, with the video markets and the foreign film markets, it's just almost near impossible for a movie not to at least break even. And when you have these lowest common denominator filmmaking such as this, it's almost a sure bet that it's going to make some money somewhere, and I think that's why films like this come out. They really have no more loftier goals than
now, the television series had a lot of unknowns, virtually unknowns at the time. Charlotte Rae came out of the series. She was the original Mrs. Leo Schnauzer, and Al Lewis, Grandpa from the Munsters, he's also in the film version of this as Leo Schnauzer.
smaller role.
Yeah, he's in the hospital bed watching the Munsters. I thought that was.
Yeah. You get a few laughs out. It's not that bad. You're going to walk out of the theater. But
It's not a waste of time.
Yeah, I think you got to see. Don't pay any more than $1, and I think it'll be at the $1 movie very quickly.
Probably.
There's plenty of other better comedies out.
So either see a matinee or wait for it to come to the dollar film.
If you got to see a comedy and go to see My Father, the Hero.
My Father, the Hero.
Ace Ventura is coming out. It's a good one. There's quite a few that are out, and if you've seen all those, I'd probably suggest going to the video store and renting a movie, renting a good comedy, waiting for this to come to the dollar theater. I'm going to go with 1 star.
I'm going to give this film 2 stars.
2 stars. So it comes out to 2.5. That's a little below average on our scale. And again, that came out last Friday.
1.5 stars, Steve.
1.5. My math isn't that good. So if we haven't convinced you not to see it, go check it out.
I mean, if you're an old Car 54 fan, you might want to check it out.
All right. And now we got our top 10 Atlanta films this week.
Right. These are the films that you went to see this past weekend, so don't blame us for what you paid money to see. Okay, at number 10, we've got Shadowlands. This stars Anthony Hopkins and Deborah Winger. It's kind of autobiographical about C.S. Lewis and his Jewish wife. Falls from number 9 to number 10. Number 9 this week is Pelican Brief. Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts drops one spot to number 9, 8th week in the top 10. Number 8 this week was number 7 last week is Iron Will, the story about the dog sled marathon. It was its 3rd week of release. Number 7 this week is a film that obviously all of you, at least most of you, listened to us and didn't go to see, Intersection. It falls all the way from number 2 to number 7 in only its 2nd week of release.
That's a big drop there.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone.
So all the Sharon Stone fans, all the Richard Gere fans, and all the Lolita Davidovich fans have finally seen the film. Next week is probably going to be out
I was
of
at the mall and I heard some girl say, "I like to see Intersection." I almost turned around and said, "Don't," but I let her go about her.
Anyway, number 6 this week, dropping from number 3, is House Party 3, a film that Steve and I really didn't approve of as far as
Taking your kids to it.
taking your kids to see
I don't
it.
blame the movie. The movie's an R-rated movie and it's good for adults, but it's not a kids movie.
The rating system is there for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 this week, remaining at number 5, and it's in the 6th week of release, is Tombstone, Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell. Number 4 this week is Grumpy Old Men, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, and they're almost as famous reunion since The Odd Couple. It moves up from number 6 and has been climbing for the last 2 weeks, and is now at number 4. Number 3 this week is Aidan Quinn and Madeline Stowe in Blink. It debuts at number 3. They're running another film with Aidan Quinn and Madeline Stowe on cable on the premium channels this month. You know what that is?
No, I don't.
Stakeout.
Stakeout. That's correct.
Stakeout's got both of them in
Quinn's
it.
first movie, I believe.
And we've got number 2 is Philadelphia. It rises one notch to number 2. And number 1, for like the blah, blah, blah week in a row, Mrs. Doubtfire. Number 1 for 6 out of its 11 weeks of release.
All right, I want to correct myself. I don't think it was Aidan Quinn's first movie. It was Madeline Stowe's first movie was Stakeout, I believe.
Okay.
One of those two. No longer in the top 10. The Air up there, which lasted 4 weeks, it got as high as number 7.
Great Disney film.
So let's get on with our 3rd film of the night. What is it, Aaron?
Philadelphia.
All right, what happens in it?
Okay. Philadelphia stars Tom Hanks as up-and-coming attorney Andrew Beckett, who works for a Philadelphia law firm, who believes that he's been fired because he's been concealing the fact that he has AIDS. And he goes to attorney Joe Miller, played by Denzel Washington, who's an ambulance-chasing attorney, to see if he'll take his case. What we have now here is a scene from Philadelphia with Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks.
Mr. Beckett, come in.
It's good to see you again, Counselor. Judge Tate, Kendall Construction.
Innocuous. How are you? What happened to your face?
I have AIDS.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I sit down? Yeah. Thank you. Oh, look at this. You have a new baby.
Yeah, I got a little baby girl.
Oh, it's a girl. Huh? Congratulations.
Yeah, 1 week old.
Kids are great.
Yeah, thank you, Beckett. I'm real excited about it. Listen, what can I do for you?
I've been fired by Wyatt Wheeler. Plan on bringing a wrongful termination suit against Charles Wheeler and his partners.
You want to sue Wyatt, Wheeler, Hellerman, Tetlow, and Brown?
Correct. I'm seeking representation.
Continue.
I misplaced an important complaint. That's their story. Want to hear mine?
How many lawyers you go to before you call me?
9.
Okay, that's a scene from Philadelphia, which opened about 3 weeks ago here in town. It stars Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks, and it's from TriStar Pictures. Directed by Jonathan Demme, who was
From Silence of the Lambs.
from Silence of the Lambs, who was protested at the Academy Awards last year. Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago,
Yeah.
because of his attitude about homosexuals and alternative lifestyles.
In Silence of the Lambs. So
Exactly.
now he makes this film here. To me, the best way to describe Philadelphia is a $25 million made-for-TV movie. And I'm not to say that that's bad because there are good films on TV. But if you always notice what's on TV, they're always about diseases. They're always about someone fighting somebody in court. They're human interest stories. Philadelphia is a human interest stories. And it could have ended up on TV just as well as the big screen.
Well, I mean, if you remember, to go back to our actor that we mentioned on the earlier portion of the show, Aidan Quinn, was in a film called An Early Frost, which was about a man that developed AIDS. I think that this is just a little bit more upscale than a television movie, because when it's on television, it just spills out into people's houses, and they pretend to have no control over what they're seeing. So, I mean, in this case, you actually have to go pay money to see this, and you've got named stars, named actors in this film, and a named director in this film.
Yeah, it's doing a lot better than I thought. I think the question people want to know is this a movie about a man dying of AIDS? And of course, Tom Hanks
it's not.
is dying of AIDS.
It's a movie about discrimination.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's even more than that. It's a movie about society's fears of living with people with AIDS. That's what it's really about. I think it's, you know, you're afraid to have someone in your workplace with AIDS because you're afraid you're going to catch AIDS. I think the movie shows you that it's illegal to discriminate. It's not moral to discriminate because you're not going to catch AIDS from these people unless you have sex with them or unless the guy goes crazy and cuts you up and spits in your open wounds. That's just not going to happen. So these people need to work.
Not even if he spits in your open wound, Steve.
Is that not?
It
Am I not up on
has
my
to
science?
has to be blood transference.
All right. Well, if it gets in your blood.
So
All right.
it's aidophobia.
Yeah. So it's not going to, these people need to work. Of course, there'll be a point when the disease gets to them that they do need to be laid off. But in this case, Tom Hanks or Andrew Beckett could have worked for a lot longer than when he was fired, and thus it's about discrimination. If I had to label this movie, I'd call it a courtroom drama more than anything.
Actually, it is.
Yeah, because the same plot would have worked if he was a black man being discriminated or a woman that was sexually discriminated. Same type of plot.
He just had to prove that they knew that he had AIDS.
Yeah. Let me get your comments on Tom Hanks' Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Drama.
Well, I think that he deserved the award. The problem that I see here is not with Tom Hanks' performance. The problem I see with the film, and this is one of the things I didn't like, is that we were not associated with the character as much as we could have been. We weren't put in his position as much as we could have been. We weren't emotionally as manipulated as we could have been. And that's why I didn't like the film. I didn't think the film was as good as it could have been.
Yeah. I think Tom Hanks did a good job. However, I think his nominations and award winning could have been a sympathy vote. I think Liam Neeson in Schindler's List is better. I think that Daniel Day-Lewis in Name of the Father is better. I think that Anthony Hopkins in Shadowlands, if that qualifies in '93, was better. I think a lot of people are afraid to say anything bad about this film because they're afraid of being labeled a gay basher or a homophobe. And not that the film deserves to have anything bad said about it, because it is a good movie. And if you notice most of the reviews, they are all saying it's good but not that great. And that's the way I feel. It's a good movie. I don't see anybody hating it. I see people liking it pretty much. I don't see them going over and over to see it. I think it's pleasing entertainment.
This is a one-handkerchief movie.
Yeah, pleasing entertainment.
Schindler's List is like a three-handkerchief movie, to give you a kind of scale.
Yeah. And I tell you what, this is really doing a lot better than I thought it ever would, because I've figured only people with dates would go to this movie, or homosexuals. And according to one of the girls in our cameras out there, she went to Midtown, and a lot of homosexuals went. I can't see two guys going to this movie, or just a guy going to this movie.
I can see a lot of people going to this film just because it's topical.
I don't know. I just think two guys that weren't homosexuals would not go to this movie for fear that everyone in the theater would look at those guys over there. What surprised me.
Like that's going to matter, Steve.
There's a lot of people out there that feel that way. Whether or not they actually care if someone's homosexual, they don't want other people thinking they are. Believe me, there's a lot of guys out there that would be afraid to go to this or even rent this at the video store, wondering what people are going to think about them.
Steve, you're exhibiting characteristics very much like Denzel Washington had in this film. When he's in the drugstore and the guy comes up to him and says, "I really appreciate you defending that AIDS person, the person with AIDS, in the discrimination suit, and
And then he finds out that the guy's really gay, and he
the
gets mad
guy's
at
hitting on him.
him. Well, to me, that's what I say. I think it's doing better than I ever thought it would. If I'd reviewed this the first week it came out, I'd have said it had bombed, but it's been a top movie at the box office every week. So obviously everybody's going to see it, and I'm wrong. I'm going to go with 2.5 stars on this film. Above average, 2.5 for each of us. Above average.
I'm giving it 2.5 stars because of the things I mentioned earlier.
Not a great film.
Because it has so much more potential, and they didn't use it.
All right, let's get on with our fourth film. It's called The Pelican Brief, which came out around Christmas time, and it's still doing great. It's in the top 10. And believe it or not, this is the second film to be made out of a book of John Grisham. The first one was the Tom Cruise mega hit from The Summer of the Firm. Now, when two Supreme Court justices are assassinated, law student Darby Shaw sets down to write a paper about whom she thinks might be the assassins. Now, her boyfriend, who also is her professor, jokingly hands over her brief to his FBI friend, tells him to get a good laugh out of it. Well, the guy reads it, finds it completely interesting, and hands it up to his boss, who hands it up to his boss, and so on, until this thing finally reaches the highest echelons of the FBI infrastructure. Now, whatever was in this brief must have been accurate, because everyone who comes in contact with it ends up dead. And Darby Shaw knows she's next on the list, so she teams up with investigative journalists at Gray Grantham, and together they set out to expose the conspiracy before they end up 6 feet under themselves. Let's take a look at a scene from The Pelican Brief, which came out around Christmas time, but still hot.
Come on, girl.
Doing grumpy.
All right, that's the scene from The Pelican Brief. You can't talk while we're not on. Anyway, that came out a while back. What are your feelings on this one?
Well, Steve, I think it was a good adaptation of the book.
Did you read the book?
No, I didn't read the book, but I had somebody that I went to see this film with that had read the book, and they said that that it follows the book pretty closely. Mm-hmm. So I have to say, from their opinion about the book, that it was a good adaptation of the book.
Exciting, thrilling movie.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you can set aside your doubts of the first half hour of this film and just accept the fact that this law student had nothing better to do like study, sat down and wrote this brief. They show her night after night in the library. If you can accept the fact that her brief got handed on to the FBI, and once you believe all that, then, yeah, the movie is a great conspiracy movie. It caught my interest. It got me caught up in trying to solve the mystery.
And it also educates you a little bit about the legal system.
Yeah, a little bit
and
like
the way the Supreme Court works.
And the movie's like All the President's Men, not only because it was Alan Pakula who directed All the President's Men.
That's correct.
It has the mystery witness, the investigative journalist, et cetera, et cetera. Thrilling movie, I think. Good conspiracy film. I give it 3 stars.
Me too.
All right, we're going 3 stars on The Pelican Brief. It's still in the top 10. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. We're going to take a call. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Doing all right.
I'd just like to comment on the how you call it, the movie before this, Philadelphia.
Yes.
Philadelphia?
I was seem like I thought it wasn't too bad a movie, and I quite agree with Jamie on the left. I'm afraid I don't know his name. The guy in the rider suit.
Yeah, over here.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. I tend to agree that the movie had substance. It's just that I think it was a little bit. It seemed like it was a little bit overrated.
The movie was overrated.
Yeah,
Well,
you see, the actors. I think the actors did well, but at some point, especially in the courtroom drama part of it, they sort of give it up.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the courtroom drama was very realistic. And if you go back to movies like The Firm or Perry Mason, they always have surprise guests and some thrills, and this doesn't have any of that.
I'm still trying to figure out why they had Mary Steenburgen in there.
Oh, I thought she about ruined the movie. I
Well, I mean,
thought
she didn't have
was
any
bad in
part,
that movie.
though.
Exactly. There was in fact, that part should have totally been taken out. I mean, there was no need for that particular part to play.
Yeah.
But I thought the movie was okay. I mean, but I wouldn't even give it, a star. I would give it credit, but not a star. I
You wouldn't even give it a star?
Because all the actors are my favorites. Tom Hanks, Denzel. You know, they're good actors. You know, and I thought they were just, you know, they just were placed in a movie that probably weren't giving very good thoughts.
Yeah, well, like I said, it could have been on Made for TV, but thanks for the comment. And like I said, most critics I don't think are raving over it. They're saying it's above average, but not a rave review, which is like we've said. But good comments there. Thanks for calling. Let's get on with our video.
Home video releases.
This is what's coming out on home video. If I can find that little thing here to read this off to you, it'll be on your screen. We have Indochine, which is a French film. It won, I believe, best foreign film with Catherine Deneuve.
I could have sworn that film was in English. But
it's a subtitle.
When we saw it with subtitles.
2 stars, California, which, did you ever see that one, Aaron? I haven't seen that one. Poetic Justice, what Aaron hated.
I'd rather have my teeth drilled.
All right, and on pay-per-view, we have Sliver. We gave that 2.5 stars. Hocus Pocus, 1.5 stars. And Brain Smasher, a love story. That one slipped by us this year. So let's get on with our final review here, Grumpy Old Men. Do we have time for a clip here? Hey, do we have time for a clip out there? This is the story of Grumpy Old Men. It stars Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon as Max Goldman and John Gustavus, 2 men who've been feuding with each other ever since Gustavus stole Max's girlfriend some 50 years earlier. Now the rivalry heats up when the beautiful Ariel Truex moves in across the street. Let's take a look at a scene from Grumpy Old Men.
I can't hold it! Reel him in! I can't hold it!
Work him! Work him!
Try!
Easy does it!
He's so strong!
Be gentle! Reel him in!
I can't hold it!
Reel it in!
I tried, but I can't!
All right, give me the pull.
Hold it! No, your legs get out of here!
I almost lost him.
Oh, he's just magnificent.
Magnificent. He's a damn record breaker. He's about a 3-footer.
Oh, Max. I can see the beauty in this now.
See it?
Yes, the lure. Oh, the fight.
Oh, the bite. Wait till I show the guys.
The catch.
What a catch!
And then the release.
The release! What release? There's no release.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful.
No, I'll tell you what's beautiful. This monster on my wall, stuffed.
Oh, no. There can be no stuffing. This is a live creature, full of courage and life.
Nobody's going to believe me.
Oh.
Let me get a camera.
Oh, no.
But just hold it for a
Here,
minute.
the water.
Where is it?
Get back, Max. Here we go.
Wait.
Calling.
Here, hold it. Hold it.
Well, we're about out of time on this review. A good romantic comedy. I like the atmosphere of the film.
And Margaret looks great.
Was that the only comment you have to say on this in our 30 seconds we have?
This is a great film. Remember to stay for the entire, all of the credits, because it got all the outtakes and everything. It's a wonderful film. It's very fun. It's got Burgess Meredith and such.
I'm going to go with 2.5 stars on this.
3.5.
I wish we had more time to review it, but we're about out of time here, so check it out. That comes out to what, 3 stars?
That's it.
Above average.
Okay, that's all the time that we have for this installment of Film Forum. Be with us next Tuesday when we'll be back to our regular format. We'll have 2 feature releases. Ace Ventura will probably be one of them. And we'll have a Critics' Choice. And we'll have a special guest involved in the film industry. See you next Tuesday.